In a world where screens are everywhere and constantly demanding attention, the ocean gives us something so real and forces us to disconnect from the noise and be present and embrace nature in its purest form. Welcome to the Blue Top Podcast. We are Sofia and Ariana Jewelewicz, twin sisters and co-founders of Blue Top Legend, Blue Top Yachting, and Blue Top Performance. This is where we dive into all things yachting, maritime marketing, and running a business on and off of the water. From insider tips to stories that inspire, we're here to help you navigate success. Today, we're switching things up with a quick Q&A session similar to last week, which is all about one of our favorite debatable ways to go places. We'll be tackling some fun questions, starting with one that always sparks debate. Whether you swear by the comfort of boat shoes or love the freedom of going barefoot on deck, we're diving into why we go absolutely everywhere barefoot. Going off of that, Sophia, would you say that you prefer wearing boat shoes or going barefoot? Barefoot, 100%. I don't even think that is a question between the two of us. We are always barefoot, whether we're running the boat, stopping by the water sports, or just living life on the water. Shoes, rarely. Maybe at a boat show, maybe in a marina when it's necessary, when I'm showing a boat and I need to be wearing shoes on marina grounds. But as soon as we can, they are off. Some say going barefoot strengthens your immune system. Others call it grounding, like our mom, connecting with the earth, balancing energy, all that fun stuff that we don't necessarily know a lot about. And hey, maybe there's something to that, but for us, it's how we feel at home. There's nothing like the feeling of the earth, the dirt, the ocean, fiberglass on your foot. You get to feel the earth, and that's how you get so connected to the earth and the ocean. And we're always talking about how we feel so close to the earth and nature and the water. That's how you do it. Being barefoot on a boat just makes sense. You're more connected to what you're doing, whether it's handling dock lines, feeling the fiberglass shift under your feet so you can read the waves better, or jumping in without worrying about soggy shoes. When we were bridge jumping, I did wear shoes a lot of the times because it helped to absorb the impact on your feet. But if you're boating day to day, you don't need shoes. It's also important to note that Sophia wore shoes when we bridge jumped because off of the bridge that we jumped off, in order to get back up, you had to climb up rocks, and with those rocks being half in the water, half out, they were sharp and they were slimy and they were slippery. So if you did manage to get your foot when you were crawling up on a soft spot, there was a good shot that you would most likely slip and fall onto a sharper spot. Every time we got up from the water after jumping off the bridge, one of us always came out with a massive gash in our foot because it's not necessarily landing on something after you jump off the bridge, but getting up on those rocks are painful. But regardless, being barefoot everywhere is just the best. I don't know if I've ever seen someone necessarily wear shoes on the boat all the time. I've definitely seen people step onto the boat with sandals. Like Sophia said, I absolutely love being barefoot and just feeling close to the earth. And in this case, we spend more time in the water than we do outside and on the boat. So it makes more sense to be barefoot because it would be a pain to have to take off your shoes every single time you wanted to go in the water. And Sophia keeps the boat relatively clean, so I wouldn't be worried about any nails. But let's be real, kicking off your shoes just feels so much better. And when it comes to our crazy stunts that we like to pull, barefoot, at least in my perspective, being someone that is holding on for dear life, gives me more balance and stability. I feel much more grounded, no pun intended, when I have no shoes. Not that we've tried wearing shoes, but that stability that it gives me when we are pounding that boat and pinning that throttle makes me feel much more balanced. And in that situation, I would not want to risk having a shoe slip because there's water under it and it doesn't have any grip. That would be terrifying. So I absolutely love the feeling of being barefoot and the grip that it gives me, the stability when we're pinning the throttle and trying not to die out in the water. You're right. I totally forgot that we would get all scuffed up after jumping off a bridge and trying to climb up the rocks. It's the rocks, it's the barnacles. Something always scratched us, and it wasn't always on our feet. After I wore shoes, I tended to get tons of scratches all over my legs. and you wouldn't even realize until the night of or the day after because that adrenaline that you get from jumping off the bridge really keeps up until even 2 hours after the experience. You get so high off of that adrenaline. But being barefoot on the boat, you're not slipping around in wet soles or worrying about scuffing up the deck. I'm huge on no shoes on my boat. My friends always come with shoes because I pick them up at the ramp and immediately they know take the shoes off because, especially if you wear black soles on a boat, they will scuff up the deck. They'll leave those black marks similar to a black rubber hose that will leave those marks. Black shoes do the same thing. We're lucky enough to have sea deck on the boat. We are very blessed in that we have sea deck, so it prevents the majority of those scuffs. My rubber hose does leave a lot of scuffs, but my magic eraser luckily takes them all out. At the end of the day, being on the water, it's not just about the boat for us, it's about the experience. And for us, that experience is 100% best lived barefoot. It's not just a boating thing, it's who we are. We grew up this way, constantly running around barefoot, exploring, climbing trees, swimming, never thinking twice about putting on shoes. It wasn't a conscious choice, it just happened. And before we knew it, it became a part of our everyday life. We still to this day go everywhere without shoes, whether it be the beach or places where you should technically wear shoes. We forget most of the time. It's become such a habit to walk out of the house without shoes that when we do need shoes, we have to consciously make the choice to think about the fact that we need shoes and we need to bring them in the car with us wherever we're going. So when boating became such a big part of what we do, it was only natural that we stayed barefoot there too. Turns out boating doesn't really require shoes anyway, like Ariana said. You get better grip, better balance, and you don't have to worry about slipping, scuffing the deck, or dealing with soggy shoes. Plus, nothing beats the feeling of being able to jump in the water without thinking twice. It's the same reason you don't carry your phone in your pocket when you're on the boat because you can just jump in the water without thinking about, oh, I have to check my pockets or oh, I have to take off my shoes. No, you can full send it and jump in given that your engine is not running. In this situation, less is definitely more. Most people probably wouldn't think about the difference that wearing shoes can make versus barefoot. And I can't necessarily say we could speak on that, given that I would never be the type to bring shoes on a boat. But the sense of connection that you get to the water, even from on top of the boat, it may sound crazy, but it's truly incredible. And we do this all genuinely because of our love for the water and our love for being outside. Anything that brings me closer to the earth in itself, whether it be the water, the sand, the concrete, I will take that chance to get closer and have that direct connection to the surface that you're on. It gives you such an immersive experience. You feel the textures of the earth, you feel the shifts, you feel the motion of the boat. It's kind of like having an extra sense. And I think that's why surfers and a lot of athletes go barefoot. I know with me at least, when I lift weights as a bodybuilder, I never wear shoes, especially when I'm doing anything lower body focused. That feeling in the same sense of just being closer, being grounded, you get this unique connection to the weight that you're lifting, and that same sense applies to the boat. It comes in handy when Sophia is pinning the throttle and I'm holding on for dear life. That is the only thing that I trust myself with, is that I will stay grounded. I will not fall out. Even though sometimes we can hit a larger wave and I might move a little bit, my feet are keeping me grounded. It's also important to note, and I feel like this is something that not a lot of people know. Shoes can weaken the muscles in your foot over time, essentially just making them lazy. When you're barefoot, you're able to engage the full strength of your entire foot. You use your arch, your toes, your lower legs being your calves. It's so important to use those muscles, and with all the fancy shoes and boots and high tops that people are coming out with and wearing these days, you don't get to work those muscles. And of course, this is all coming from the perspective of a personal trainer and someone that absolutely lives for fitness. But for the general person, it is so important to note because issues in your knees and hips and even above that all stem from your foot. That's why if you go to acupuncture or a massage place, they will always start there. It translates to more control over your body. If you have a stronger foot, you will have a stronger body, whether that be
directly in training or when you're holding on for dear life and bracing yourself against a wave?
I did not know that shoes can weaken the muscles in your foot. We don't just go barefoot on boats, we grew up this way. No shoes, no second thoughts. We climbed trees, biked to the beach, and explored everywhere with nothing between us and the earth. Nothing separated that. It wasn't something that we ever questioned, it was natural for us. And then one day, a couple months ago, our mom started to get very into energy. Our mom told us about grounding, how physically connecting with the earth can balance your energy and boost your health and improve your mood. Back then, we just liked the feeling of the warm sand or the cool grass or the ocean. But as we got older, we realized that there's an actual science. And who knows, maybe that's why we are naturally very happy people. It turns out grounding helps reduce inflammation, lower stress, and can even improve sleep. So when you're barefoot, your body absorbs the earth's natural energy, and that regulates your entire nervous system. It boosts your circulation, it makes you feel good. It's why walking barefoot anywhere instantly makes you feel better. And that same goes for swimming in the ocean. The minute that your body touches that ocean water, you immediately feel happy, you feel joyful, you feel blessed to be in this world. Over time, our barefoot tendencies expanded beyond us. It became a thing now that our family uses, that our friends use, and it became who we are. Whether we're on land or on the water, barefoot is completely our default. It's about freedom, and we are constantly preaching how the boat makes you feel free. It makes you feel like you can take over the world. We live life with nothing between us and the world that we absolutely love to explore.
I love that you mentioned that sense of freedom because shoes are inherently restricting. It may be controversial, but they are. Barefoot is technically freedom, it's freeing. There's a reason that kids run outside without shoes and play without shoes. It's unrestricted movement. On a boat, when you are barefoot, I at least can speak. I have much quicker reactions, and I again get to feel that connection to the ocean. Same thing with training, like I mentioned before, you get more grip, more control. You're given a direct connection to your body's mechanics, but also to the ocean. Now, as we talked about before, if you are bridge jumping, especially off of a bridge that's not necessarily in a super nice area, with rocks that you have to climb on, absolutely bring shoes. I wish I did. I never did because it's a pain to get your shoes wet. But if I did specifically have boat shoes, I would have absolutely used them because I got my feet totally scraped up from every time that I jumped that bridge. Those rocks were covered in algae, so it's probably not great to get that inside of your system. With that being said, I do think that it is beneficial in itself to sit on your boat, dangle your feet in the water if you don't want to get in. It's so beneficial because it gives you that connection and also gives your feet a break. If you think about it, people wear shoes so much. They're constantly wearing shoes. They're at work and they're wearing shoes. They come home and they put on slippers. Sometimes your feet need a break. Barefoot boating is absolutely so much better. Barefoot is better. Ditch the shoes. You have to experience the difference. You get that unique connection with the water, with the environment, with the ocean, with being outside and with nature. It's just something that you need to experience. And again, I am not familiar with people that necessarily use shoes on the boat, but it can be applied to any sort of activity outside. Just try going barefoot. You will feel the difference.
For us, being on the water is way more than the lifestyle. It's a feeling, it's a way of life. It's something that provides us with so much joy. Boating in the ocean shares something so special. Both give you a sense of freedom and peace and a connection that's hard to find anywhere else, similar to being barefoot and grounding. Just like going barefoot keeps us connected to the earth, being on the ocean and boating keeps us connected to something even bigger. When you're out on the water, you're fully present. You don't have your phone on you, you're not scrolling on a screen, you're not focused on something else. The sound of the waves, the rhythm of the boat moving, the salt air that you're breathing in, it strips away basically everything unnecessary. It leaves you with just the moment. Whether you're pushing full throttle, whether you're anchored at a quiet spot, or diving, swimming with a fish, there's this constant feeling of being 100% completely alive. Everyone knows the ocean is unpredictable and extremely powerful and ever changing, but that's just like life. That's why boating feels so natural. It's about adapting. Like Ariana always says, we were constantly adapting to everything that was happening, everything that was breaking, trusting the journey and embracing whatever came our way. There's something so deeply freeing about being surrounded by nothing but the open water and knowing in that moment you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And of course, there's the pure joy of it, the rush of the wind and the saltwater spray that you get, the way that the sun is shining or setting if you're going through sunset. It never ever gets old. If you're pinning the throttle or you're going on a sunset or sunrise cruise, the ocean gives us something so real, and it's a space where nothing else matters, where stress disappears, and where life makes sense. At the end of the day, the ocean isn't just where we go, it is who Ariana and I are. Our whole brand is based off of it. Our whole brand was built off of the foundation of the fun that we have on the ocean. Our whole mission is based on the fun that we have in the ocean, to get away from screens, to embrace nature in its purest form. And that's why we will always keep chasing the adrenaline and diving and pinning the throttle and living our best lives on the water.
And doing it all barefoot.
Exactly. It correlates with our entire brand mission. Get out in nature. And I never thought about it in the whole barefoot sense, but being barefoot allows you to connect with nature just like being off of a screen does. And being in the ocean and swimming and exploring the salt water and constantly being boating out in the sunshine and enjoying life and dancing and expanding your social circle off of the screens. Being barefoot does the exact same thing.
Not to mention, like we kind of touched on before, whether it's diving into the water, flipping off a bridge, or dancing on the boat, sitting and talking with our friends for hours, snorkeling in the middle of the ocean, it's always going to be mostly in the water, or even if it is dancing on the boat, it is so much more fun to do it barefoot. You don't have to worry about your shoes getting wet or messing up the boat, and you just get pure fun. Get out there in a bathing suit, whether that's a bikini or board shorts. Go out there and have fun. Literally, all you need is the water. You don't need shoes, you don't need sunglasses, you don't need all this fancy stuff. Now, you could definitely have it, but it's just more stuff to bring, and it's more stuff that is most likely going to fall in the ocean and get lost. Get out there and go have fun and do it all barefoot.
You're so right. You don't need anything. In a world where screens are everywhere and constantly demanding attention, the ocean gives us something so real and forces us to disconnect from the noise and be present and embrace nature in its purest form. That's what Blue Top Legend is all about. Our mission isn't just to get people on the water, it's to remind people what it feels like to live in the moment. No notifications, no endless scrolling, just the ocean, the salty air, and the freedom of boating. When you're on a boat, your focus totally shifts. It's about being present, reading the water, feeling the throttle, moving with the ocean, watching the sunset, dancing with your friends. That's the kind of experience that stays with you, the kind that reminds you exactly what matters. And yes, you can take your phone out to take a picture. Yes, you can take a video. But at the end of the day, being present in the moment is exactly why we do what we do. The ocean is not just where we go, it's how we reconnect. And through Blue Top Legend, we get to share that with everyone. We want more people to step away from screens, embrace the adventure, and experience the world the way that it was meant to be. So Ariana's right, step out, go barefoot. Thank you for joining our quick tips episode. We hope these essentials keep you safe, prepared, and stylish on the water.
That's it for this episode of the Blue Top Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We loved having you on board.
Make sure to follow us on social media for more behind the scenes moments and updates from Blue Top Legend, Blue Top Yachting, and Blue Top Performance. And remember, we're all about navigating excellence and anchoring trust.
Don't forget to keep that throttle pinned.
And as always, don't touch my throttle. We'll see you next
See you
time.
next time.